Mike, I've got you on speaker here, so.
Okay, we're recording, guys, it's 2:30.
It's 2:30, so we're ready to start this meeting.
Is anybody there to call the roll?
No, but I can do that again.
Okay.
Everybody, let's find me.
I'll call on next door, or I ask you to call the roll.
All right, Jesse.
Here.
Jeff Barrett. Charlie Thacker.
Here.
Hannah Speaks.
Here.
Winer, yes, hang on. Larry Clump. Here. Mike Carell. We got 5 members present and left for a quorum.
Okay. Is anything else need to be took care of before we organize?
No.
Okay. I'll ask for nominations for chair of the budget committee.
I nominate Mr. Harrell.
Who's that made that motion?
Larry Clones.
Larry Claus?
Yeah.
Nominates Mike Burrell. Is there any other nominations? Yes, I had to have it, because I can't see nobody's non-eye contact. Is there any other nominations?
So.
No other nominations?
No other one.
Okay. Do I hear a motion that we nominate Mike Burrell by acclamation?
I so moved.
All right. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, Mr. Burrell, you're the chair, and I'll turn it over to you, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm gonna hang up, and if you all can go ahead and finish organizing, call me back, you might wanna recess the budget committee and go ahead and organize the personnel committee, since you're not gonna have, since Mr. Jesse's gonna have to leave early.
Okay.
Yeah, how you just wanna have it, just call me back when you get ready for personnel committee.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. I need nominations for a secretary. We'll do it first.
I nominate Hannah White.
I'm gonna decline that.
Anybody else?
I nominate Jeff Barrett.
One by Jeff Barrett.
He's not here.
You can't decline. Anybody else?
Need somebody here, Mr. Jesse? You want?
All in favor of Bill being secretary, say aye. All opposed, likewise. Jeff be secretary.
Mr. Chairman, who was your second on that? I didn't get it.
We want secretary.
I'll say,
Larry
Thank you.
Collins.
Okay, I got you.
All right, nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Larry Collins. Mr. Collins.
Anybody else? I got a second.
second.
Second by Jason. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, likewise. All right. Anybody got any objections? We take a quick recess so we can organize personnel meeting. Anybody object? All right.
I move for you.
recess to, take care of the personnel committee.
Alright, so we'll recess and go right into the personnel committee. I'll read some of that. Okay, we recessed, so we're ready to do the personnel committee.
We'll call personnel committee meeting to order, and I guess,
Hang on one second. Okay, we're ready.
okay, you got somebody that can call the roll?
Yeah, I guess I can do it.
Okay.
Uh, Go ahead.
We'll ask you to call the roll, personnel committee.
Rain Jesse.
Here.
Bill Barrett. Charlie Thacker.
Here,
Hannah Weininger.
Here.
Larry Holmes. Here. Mike Corral. Got 5 members present and none for quorum.
Okay. Have we got anything that has to be taken care of before we organize?
No.
Okay. I'll, ask for nominations for chairman of the personnel committee.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Larry Clark.
Second.
Okay. Is any other nominations? If not, do I hear a motion to elect Larry Combs by acclamation?
That's so moved.
Okay. Second?
I'll say it.
Okay. All right. All in favor of said motion, say aye. Okay. I guess Larry, you're the new chairman of the personnel committee. We'll turn it over to you to further organize. Thank you all for, and I will let you take care of your business.
Alright, thanks, Rick.
Do we have a nomination for secretary? Reporter?
I'll nominate Jeff Barrett.
Are you taking some notes down?
I can.
Let's do, I can't do both. So, do we have a nomination for, vice chair?
I'll nominate Hannah Weininger.
Well, we didn't get a second on Barrett.
Oh, yeah. I'll say it.
You nominated.
I'll second.
Anyone else? Do I have here, a yes vote or no vote on approving the vice chair?
We gotta elect Jeff first.
Pardon?
We need to
Yeah,
elect,
vote on Jeff.
vote on Jeff first.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead, sir. Mr. Jesse? how you vote? Roll call.
Voting on secretary for jail fair. How you vote?
Yes. Jim Perry, now you're Charlie Thayer.
Charlie.
Mr. Thayer, how you
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Hannah Speak,
Yay.
Larry Clump, yes. Mike Correll,
Yes.
okay. Do you need any other, do we have any other officers to be nominated?
Vice chair.
Vice chair, okay.
Hannah Weiniger.
Mr. Rell nominates Hannah Weininger, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Jesse seconds it. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it.
All right, we need to recess this now, go back first.
I hear a motion to recess.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Thacker made the motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Rell makes a second. We do hereby recess, go back to, the budget committee. Mr. Rell.
All right. It's 2:41, we come out of recess of the personnel committee, and we'll go right back into the budget committee. We need to approve the budget committee minutes from last time. Do I have a motion to approve the budget minutes? My name is Jesse. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Hannah Weininger. All in favor say aye. All don't approve likewise. Minutes pass. Alright, we'll move into the resolutions. We'll start with 2020-01-10. Anybody got any questions on 2021-01-10? I'll give you a few minutes to look over.
There's no, dollar figure change at the bottom, so I make a motion that we, send it on the full county.
Motion by Commissioner Thacker. Second
I'll second.
by Commissioner Weininger. All in favor say aye. All disapprove likewise. Motion passes. All right, we'll move on down to resolution 2021-01-11. Budget amendment, general capital project fund. I'll give you a minute to look over it. Any questions about 2021-01-11 general capital project funds?
Is that part of those, lights, LED lights and stuff?
The lights as well as the HVAC units that they had in that first allotment for the 5 million or roughly 5 million on the ESI loan, correct?
That's what I was thinking. Thought that's what it was.
Any more questions? I'll have a motion to send on to county commission.
I'll make a motion, send it to county commission.
Motion by Commissioner Weininger, second by
I'll second.
Commissioner Clumps. Can we do a voice? Oh, no, I guess we'll have to do it. All right, we'll do a voice call. Raymond Jesse.
Yes.
Troy Thacker.
No.
Hannah Speaks.
Yes.
Larry Clumps.
Yes.
Mike Correll. No. Motion passed. Sent on to full commission. Eric, did I miss anything we need to go over in this one?
That's all the budget amendments, unless there was any other resolutions that you all wanted to talk about in the budget, but I assume we'll probably hit those in person now.
All right. Anybody got anything else? If not, I'll attain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Weininger, second by Commissioner Jesse. All in favor say aye. All opposed, budget meeting adjourned.
I'll do so. I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me. I'll make a mistake, so bear hard. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Mr. Bell. Who seconded? Jesse? Mr. Jesse seconded it. All in favor say aye. We'll go from there. I don't have an agenda, do we?
It ain't that on the agenda.
Huh?
It ain't that on the agenda.
Is there any other business from my house?
Other business.
Do we have any other business?
I think, Doug Cook is wanting to speak to the committee, if that's okay.
My name is Doug Cook. I'm live in District 1. Just moved back from overseas in Germany. I'm a disabled veteran, and I would like to be honored to be nominated to serve as a veteran service officer here for Hawkins County, the area that I live in. I believe I sent resumes to everyone that has an email that I had. If you have not received one, I brought some if you'd like to have a copy.
You can give me one.
What was your name?
Doug Cook. And I've spoken to some of you last time.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. You can see if you can get a county commissioner to sponsor you, or you can appear at the, regular commission meeting next Monday evening at 6 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And,
I'm already told.
the chairman of the committee will recognize you. Anyone else? Tanya?
Hello, I'm Tanya Katzen from District 6, and some of you might know me. I've been to a few meetings and around the block a little bit. I'm from Idson, Tennessee, and I decided that in an effort to still have an opportunity to serve my community, I decided to throw my hat into the ring for the property assessor. I worked on a brief informal resume that I'd like to pass out to you guys, and I would greatly appreciate your consideration. I've got 20 years of experience in government regulatory compliance. I've been a realtor, sold and purchased property, certified property manager, certified manager of housing. And I think that I would be a good benefit for the community. So I would appreciate your consideration.
I'd like to recognize David Pearson.
David?
Okay, I work in the property assessor's office right now. I'm here to speak to y'all about the position that's open. I came before the previous personnel committee, and now I'm appearing before this one. I've got a few things to go over. I won't take up much of your time, but one thing I need to tell you, and I told this to the last personnel committee, we're finishing up a reappraisal right now for 2021, and we're in the last few months. And because of that, in order to maintain the efficiency and accuracy and to finish it properly, it's somebody from within the office that has had the experience and knowledge of 34 years of working there. I feel like I should nominate and appoint myself for that reason. Some other reasons, we use a lot of software in the office. It's a highly technical office. And it would be hard for somebody to come in and learn the office. It takes 6 months to a year to learn all the different software systems. We use a map viewer, and that's our state of Tennessee property assessment GIS system. We have to use Impact. Impact is a state program. It's basically how we do everything. It's how we measure and list properties, add properties, how we speak to the customer when they come in. You have to be able to use Impact. You have to be able to find information in order to speak to the property owners and taxpayers as they come in. We also use a program called Apex Sketch Pro, and this is a drawing program that we use to add buildings, commercial buildings, residential buildings. You have to be familiar with that software, or else you're behind the 8 ball when somebody comes in. We also use something called CAS3 Local Assessor. This is a database of all our previous year's appraisals, and sometimes that comes in handy. Of course, the general office type stuff like Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all those things, you need to know that. We have something called IAS World Mobile, Field Mobile. And this is some software. We take tablets out. I've got my tablet right there. We can actually go to the field, measure and list a house, punch that into our tablet using a jetpack, Wi-Fi jetpack. We communicate with Nashville, and we can know what the appraisal is within 15 minutes after we've measured the house. And that's good to have sometimes, because the property owner, it's good information. They know exactly what their appraisal is going to be for the next year. That was something that was just added a couple of maybe a year or so ago. I've had training on all this software. I'm fully capable of utilizing all of the software that we have. We also use Microsoft Teams and the Skype for Business. And of course that's come in handy because of the last 9 months. It's pretty hard to do a reappraisal, actually run an office, as a lot of y'all know, with the fact that you can't really meet people. You have to do a lot of it virtually. And so we've been able to use Microsoft Teams and Skype for Business to communicate with the State of Tennessee Division of Property Assessment and other property owners. So there's about probably quite a few different things that have to be learned, different software that run the office. And another thing is I've had a lot of courses. I've had all of the state courses, the State of Tennessee Division of Property Assessments. They provide courses for appraisal techniques. I've had basic mapping, advanced mapping. We used to do all the mapping by hand. We would actually take pencils, red pencils, green pencils. We'd make our changes, we'd put things for split, and then we'd send it off to Nashville once a year. Well, now it's all instantaneously done with GIS software. I've had appraisal fundamentals, the IAA, course 101, which is the cost and sales approach to income, to appraisal. I've had IAA, course 102, which is income approach to value. That means apartments, commercials, a lot of those are valued by income. You know, their rent, expenses, you capitalize it to come up with a value for tax purposes. I also had course 300, which is a mass appraisal course. And over the past 34 years, I've been involved with various seminars, trainings. I've trained people in the office and new employees. I've been involved with 7 reappraisals. 4 of them I pretty much did, mostly by myself. I'm quite familiar with how the office is run. Everybody in the office right now would like to see me be appointed. I don't plan on running. I'll go ahead and announce now, I don't plan on running for re-election, for election in 2022 when the office comes open. Main thing I want to do is continue what Jeff was doing. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if he hadn't passed. I've never sought the office. Many times over the past 20-something years, I've been asked, why don't you run for it? Why don't you run for assessor? Well, I'm not a political person. I'm not a big talker. I'm more of a doer. And so I could have had opportunities in the past to run. I chose not to. Jeff, he ran unopposed last time. People, nobody ran against him. He was doing a good job. Suddenly, he was gone. Our office, we took about a week or so of bereavement, and it fell around the Christmas break and everything. But I didn't really ask any of the commissioners or anything. I didn't seek this job. I do feel once we came back to work, we, as an office, they came to me, said, why don't you put me in for it? And so I did at the next personnel meeting. And so I'm coming to you before, again, with the new personnel committee, and then I'm going to come to if y'all have a commissioners meeting this next Monday, I'll be at that also. But I just want to emphasize that the office, all the office in the county, they all have their certain aspects which have to be learned. Every office has some legality about it. And it has to be learned in order to deal professionally and fairly with the public. If you just come in, even though you've had managerial experience or had some other type of government experience, the assessor's office is a unique animal, just like the circuit court clerk is unique, and it takes a while to learn the office. And right now at this time, I don't think it would be fair to bring in somebody who's not very familiar with how the office works. If y'all have any questions or anything.
With reappraisal going on right now, if we put somebody else in that office, how much problem will that cause?
Well, it might not be a problem, but what I can say it would be is you would be trying to basically train somebody while you're handling the aspects of the reappraisal. It would be taking time away from reappraisal work. Like right now today, I worked on commercial land prices. I studied them today. Okay, if there was a new person to come in, that new person would be asking me a lot of questions, be asking everybody else a lot of questions. Because there's a million different types of questions that are asked by customers that come in, taxpayers that come in. So of course, you know, somebody brand new, they're not gonna know everything. People in our office don't know everything. We have to seek help, legal sometimes, but we generally, between the experience that is in the office, we can come up with some kind of answer. But if you have somebody that just kind of comes in out of the blue, they're gonna pull time away from everybody else who has to, kind of in the crunch time of finishing up a reappraisal. And it would cause that type of disruption. But, you know, that could happen anytime there's a new boss or a new situation like that. But mainly it would be taking away from other people's jobs. Until that person were to be able to start assimilating knowledge and wouldn't have to ask so many questions. You know, when I first started working in 1987, of course I asked a lot of questions. I was hired by the state of Tennessee back in 1987 to work for the county during the first reappraisal in 1989. It took 18 people 2.5 years to do that reappraisal. Now when we have a reappraisal, it's 3 people doing it. It takes 9 months. We don't really get a whole lot of state help anymore. They'll help from, you know, the state office is not as big as it used to be. So we do get some state assistance, but it's not like 4 or 5 people we're used to get. Y'all probably don't want to hear all of that, but that's just fine. What we do, basically they're locked down, they work from home right now. And we've only had 1 state visitation during this past reappraisal. Normally there were a couple of state employees that lived in Hawkins County, they've retired now, but we always received assistance from them in the past reappraisal. Mainly with commercial and rural land. But right now we're finishing up the review. I've still got to figure out the rural land schedule. And I can say I worked on some commercial stuff today. But it's a complicated position. I don't, you know, every time we learn, it just takes a lot of time. Because, you know, everybody in our office has learned it over the years, but we're blessed, really. Y'all don't really know it. A lot of the offices in the county are blessed with experienced people. And ours is truly blessed. We have several employees that have been there, you know, over 30 years. I'm sure it's that way in some of the other offices in the county, but you need to appreciate the employees that have been there a long time, because you don't have to worry about them. They go do their thing, they do their job, they know what it is, and you don't have to worry about hiring and training people and stuff. But that's about all I can think of to say. If you don't have any more questions, I'll leave you alone. All right, thank y'all.
Any other candidates for assessor? Are you Jason? For county commissioner?
No.
Okay. Anybody can get them. What would you like to speak?
Well, I was just here to represent Mr. Cook here and to lend my support to him. I've been working with Mr. Cook for some time. I'm the Veterans Outreach Specialist with the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development in Johnson City. And I'm just here to lend my support for Mr. Cook. So I also got some business cards that I'd like to pass out to you guys. And I'll also be at the meeting on the 25th, Lord willing.
What's your name? Or
Jason Clevenger.
Jason Clevenger. I guess that takes care of everybody.
If I may, I just meant to mention earlier. I know that I'm qualified, but maybe some people may think I'm overqualified with my resume, but the reality is I'm not. There is a VSO school that you have to go to in order to be trained to be qualified. It's a long process. And so I'm more than understanding of coming in on an entry level pay because I've got to go to the school, I've got to take the test, I've got to pass the test. But as far as the other part of the background of working with the VSO before I have, because I went through the process as a 100% disabled service-connected veteran, I know the process, but I know that I've got to be certified. And it's not already within your budget or within your minutes. I think it should be an entry level for anyone coming in without being certified, but maybe rewarded if they go through and pass the test with the bump that they pass the test and are now certified. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Starkey. Hannah, I'm gonna let you take the chair. I want to speak, in regard to, my resolution for Mr. Jason Cunningham. I'd like to thank Mr. Bevo for the fine article in the Kingsport Times on Monday. I'd just like to add 2 or 3 things to what you wrote. I consulted Dennis Elkins, post commander, American Legion 21, called me back the 1st of November and asked me to help them to get a veteran service officer. And we spent some time on that, and I consulted with my fellow commissioners, with CTOS, Representative Rick Hall, my state representatives, and I did some research on the internet about what the Tennessee State has posted about the requirements for a veteran service officer. And I felt like that Mr. Cunningham meet those qualifications, and I take him to meet with the veterans of Hawkins County, as Mr. Evans stated in your article, and they approved him, and they feel like he's capable of doing the job. And I've asked in my resolution for a pay of $38,280. We do have a compensation and classification plan in place that we revised in early 2019. And I'll read again. Let me find it here. Mr. DeWitt was chairman of that committee, and at that time, before we voted on it, he said we, at the beginning and at every meeting since, that the new salary scale and accompanying policies are living documents subject to change. So I feel like myself, and the veterans of Hawkins County feel like, that whoever's elected to this position should start at the same pay that Mr. Brady was paid. The duties and responsibilities haven't changed. The state of Tennessee says that the position should put, the average pay for the position is $44,711. The budget has already been approved for the Veteran Service Officer Department. I'm a little bit diabetic and I can't hardly breathe in this matter. It's already been approved, and only one employee has been paid out of that budget since July. And we upped her pay to Mr. Brady's pay because of the responsibilities of that office. Evidently, there's a great deal of work there, or we would not have raised her pay up. And so that's my argument. There is extra money there because Mr. Brady was supposed to get a raise on July 1. He resigned before he took his raise. So that money is still there. Approximately, I don't have the exact figure, something like $2,000 a month Eric, you can correct me, the salary for the secretary for 6 or 7 months is still in there. So, I just rough guessed it, don't hold me to it, but I just rough guessed it about $20,000 to $24,000 extra money in the budget for that office. And, I feel like I'm gonna stand behind my resolution. I feel like whoever gets the job should be paid $38,200 something. And I'm gonna stand with the veterans for Hawkins County, that's what they say they want. And hopefully, we will get a veteran service officer in place for these people. We can't pay our veterans enough for the duties, for their service. And we can't pay our veteran service officer enough money to see our, veterans get, their benefits, what's due. That's all I have to say, Hannah.
That resolution is already going for the full commission, right, so that's nothing we need to.
Yes,
vote
it
on.
would be,
Is the, Mr. Chairman, is the secretary gonna be, her salary gonna be reduced back down to the secretary?
yes, I've seen that's what it is.
Well, that's what I
Eric can
was-
answer that.
That's correct. As soon as the position's no longer vacant and her salary, we're back to her own. That's
I
correct.
got a letter today in the, mail, I just opened it right before, actually, when I started down here. And it was, that Vicksburg, Virginia on it, but it was, Mr. Mackey that was interested in that position also.
Veteran service.
Yeah.
Now, I also got a call from a gentleman, I don't have his name with me, he's still serving in the Army, he's a colonel, but he doesn't get out until, midsummer, I believe. But, I told him to call someone else, I gave him a list of the county commissioners, and I told him he could call someone else, as I'm already sponsoring, Mr. Mooneytown.
You said the secretary's pay will go back down to where it was at. Is that including the raise they got this past year,
Correct. Yes, yeah, she's still being tracked. Her three-year implementation on the new salary scale is still being tracked behind the scenes.
So
I
she
think
was-
it was about 31,000, wasn't it, something?
I don't have it in front of me, but
31,000.
yeah, she'll go back to her salary with year two's implementation of the salary scale. I don't know who still has the floor, may I be recognized?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last time, with the previous committee, there was some question wanting Mr. Lee to possibly come in and talk to you about whether or not the position is ranked appropriately. So this office did a little bit of a salary study on surrounding counties of comparable population, very comparable to what we did when we were looking at mine. And this is the results of that, and I'd be happy to go over it with you briefly if you'd like me to.
Also, Eric, doesn't the veteran service officer for Hawkins County serve Hancock County too?
I don't-
Come over here.
I'm not sure, I've heard that Danny helped a lot of folks over that way, I don't know if that was
Yeah,
out of
they
courtesy
did.
or if that was an official capacity, I'm not really sure on the answer. to
Yeah,
that.
they used to did, I'm not sure they do now.
I'd always heard that he had, but I just
Yeah,
don't know.
he served both counties at one time.
But what this is just grabbing a few counties, comparable population. And for ours, I used 33071, reason being, there was talks about bringing them in, through the salary scale at the highest amount possible, which is salary grade 8, step 4. So that's what I used for the analysis. But if you see down there, these accompanying little memos here, the pay grade range is from 29,417 through 40,382. And so I got Hamlin, and Hamlin's got an asterisk next to it because theirs is considered full-time, but theirs is considered full-time at 30 hours. That chart over there to the right of Tipton, Coffee, Rome, Gibson, and Claiborne, their VSO operates on a part-time basis. So that's why they're isolated. And then that last little box there in the bottom left shows how those average, how it differs compared to us, how far off the high is and how far off the low is. But keep in mind that low, again, is represented by a 30-hour work week, not 35 as our own would be. So that low is a little misleading.
Is this a 36 or 38-hour job?
35.
Anyone else?
I'm not asking for the committee to vote either way, I'm just trying to present some facts. That's the way I feel.
Nobody else, I'll turn it back over to you. Sure.
Okay, thank you. We have any other business?
Yeah, I've got one thing. I'd like to see the, commissioner rules come back to this committee and go through them again.
You mean for personnel?
Personnel committee. We need a motion on that.
Yeah, you made a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Rell made a motion that we, again, look at the, rules and regulations for the conducting of the commission meeting. Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second.
Mr. Thacker seconded. Yeah. Who's secretary?
Jeff,
Yeah.
Oh, Watson.
I can do
You
that.
call it off.
Yeah, Mr. Jesse,
Yes.
Weiner, yay. Thacker?
Yes.
Mr. Burrell?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes. Any other business?
Mr. Council, I'd like to be recognized just for a question. Again, Tanya Strunk, District 6. Can you, I know that you are new to this committee. Has anybody been on this committee before? You have been on this committee. So can you explain to me what the process of the personnel committee is in the appointing process or in the hiring process? You go through information, you forward on requests or recommendations for review in front of the full commission, or is it a mixture of both, where you recommend people who come here and then they're going to do recommendations from the floor? So I'm just curious as to what the personnel committee's role in this will be.
This resolution would go to the full county commission, and then if you found someone on the county commission that could nominate you for the floor, I believe the way it would work, right?
I've only been a commissioner 2.5 years, so I'm not that experienced. I haven't been a member of this personnel committee, but, to my knowledge, I haven't been here when we had to discuss, filling positions of county commissioner or tax assessor.
Okay. Because the notice says that, an assessor will be voted upon and appointed at Monday's meeting. And I'm not quite sure how they do that without knowing who the persons who are interested or applying for the position are beforehand. And I'm not sure how you can say, I want to be the property assessor, and if you know a lot, several people in the group, you possibly get in. I'm just wondering what the process is. That's why I'm asking you, because I'm assuming it would go through a personnel committee. You would recommend based on your information, and it would go from there. So I wasn't sure if they were actually, opening the floor for nominees from the floor. So.
I'm not sure we really have a process established in Hawkins County for that. I attended a CTOF meeting in Meadowview last February, and it was about how to hire, how to fire, and how to retain employees.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I learned in my discussion with the people who spoke at the meeting, that Hawkins County is very deficient in having processes in place to hire and to fire. And to my knowledge, at the moment, we do not have any minorities in any office. There may be a few teachers that are black or Hispanic.
That's in the regular hiring process, but I'm specifically focusing on the appointee process. Because I understand state law requires that the deputy or the lead deputy in the office will manage those duties until an assessor is appointed. That's in the annotated code. So I'm not sure if that is one person in that office or multiple.
I'm the chief deputy,
Okay, so you're responsible for those duties already anyway, and you've done 4 yourself that you indicated. So bringing in a new assessor, you're doing most of that already anyway. So the assessor is learning over your shoulder at that point anyway. Am I correct?
Well, yes, it's
Okay.
after we have to learn
Okay.
something.
Go ahead.
I've got a copy from the CTAS here, the procedure that we're supposed to follow.
Uh-huh.
If you'd like to have a copy of it. You
I mean, is there something specific? I mean, I've actually contacted
We
the
got
state and went through.
120 days to do it.
Right.
And then, I mean, it's.
Right, to appoint an assessor, right, for the end of the rest of the term, yes.
So, here's what I did. I received a call from the veterans to help them, and I told them, yes, I would help them. Of course, I knew the gentleman, I've worked with them for several years. So, and they were in my district, so I said, yes, I will help. They brought an individual to be interviewed, and I called a couple, people that I asked my fellow commissioners. They said, hey, I heard this guy would like to be interviewed, and I tried to call some of them. One of them had a phone that wasn't working, and one day I was sitting at home and I said, hey, I know Jason Mooneyham, and I called him up and asked him. Once I took him to the American Legion post 121 or 221, pardon me, and they sat down there, 7 or 8, 15 gentlemen, interviewed him. And they called me at home later and said, hey, this is our man. Then I wrote up, I went with Nancy's office here, Nancy Davis, county clerk, and we drew up a resolution. And that was in early December. Of course, the December commission meeting was called off. But we are, according to Rick Brewer, our chairman, gonna have a meeting Monday evening at 6 p.m., 25th.
Okay. So there's not really, I mean, other than the CTUS, the basic guidelines, they're not, I mean, this isn't something that happens very often, where you have to appoint an elected official, obviously. But there isn't a specific procedure that Hawkins County has in place for this, so we're kind of winging it. But you're just going right by the basis CTUS?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does CTUS say about personnel committees and voting from the floor, nominating
Well,
from the
it
floor?
actually just talks about the full commission that's doing it, not, I mean, the personnel committee is in place to.
Right, yes, it has to be nominated by the legislative
But
body.
it's actually the full commission that's gonna make the decision, so.
Right, but I'm saying, how can that decision be made with nominations from the floor at the meeting on Monday, without any other information?
To my understanding, and I might be telling you wrong, but say you wanna be nominated, you have to stand up and recognize, say you wanna be nominated, then a county commissioner has to nominate you to do it. Or be put in the
You can get a county commissioner to sponsor you before the meeting, and it will be wrote up by Nancy Davis.
No, it's too late now. There would be
Too
a
late-
total
too late for out of order?
It'd be an out of order, and you can do that from the floor.
Isn't it considered an out of order anyway, since it's not on the agenda?
I'm sorry.
Is it considered an out of order anyway, because it didn't make it on the agenda, the notice
Yeah.
came out on January 8th?
I'm not sure. Our county attorney's not available to talk to right
I mean, I didn't see it on the agenda, but I've
It's
seen the
not on the
notice,
agenda because there was not a resolution to nominate that presented to me.
a
I
specific
was
person.
required to put that notice out to the public, which is what I did. So-
Okay, okay. Great. So it's a combination of the two, is the answer to my question, is that right?
It'll probably be out of order, but I mean, you're gonna have to have some kind of paper trail for it anyway, so.
Right. Okay.
It has to be out of order.
And any out of order resolution, at the moment, one commissioner, one vote, can pull it out.
Right, but I can't imagine they would hold up
Will
a
not get too far.
filling position or putting the proper procedures into place. Okay, all right, thank you for that, appreciate it.
If you want a copy of this, I mean, you want to.
I have the CTOS, all the CTOS information.
Any other business?
I move we adjourn.
Mr. Thacker, move to adjourn. Second. Mr. Jesse, second. Thank you, all.
They've done it the same way since I've been covering.
Do what, huh?
They've always done it the same way. You get nominated from the floor, you get a chance to speak, and then they